muscle not. In part 1 of red flags with coaching, I was talking about quite obvious red flags in coaching. And the biggest one when the coaching is on autopilot for the spreadsheet. Today I'm going to talk about less obvious coaching red flags, but that are looking very professional. They have nice logo, nice text, everything is nice and fluffy, but actually they are quite a big warning signs. Then at the end of the video, I will tell you how to approach a new coach to make sure that you are not losing money. When I was preparing this series, I actually realized that this is not one-way relationship. Therefore, I will also make the next part 3, which will talk about client red flags. Or if you are a coach, what to look at in clients as a red flags, but also maybe for some clients, for some people to realize that, okay, this is not what it should be, this is not what I am actually paying for. So stay tuned. Before we set up the scene, we should actually say what is the main expectation from the coach. There are 3 points. The first point is the assessment. So they are looking what you are doing, how you can improve it, or they are kind of like setting up the base for you. And as I said before, it doesn't matter if you are talking about like a weight coach, that you are trying to lose weight, build a muscle, or we are talking about sport coach that is just focusing on exercises, or a combination of both. The other part is the decision. So they are there to make a decision what direction is good for you based on your feedback, based on your development. Of course, it's important to have the decision at the beginning, but also to have some checkpoints, decisions during the coaching process. And the last one is the support. It's also important to have a supporting coach who is not, for instance, not stopping you when you are doing something wrong, like performing bad exercise with bad technique, but also who is stopping you when you are doing something great. So the psychology behind is that if you are having a bad technique and somebody stops you, like, no, don't do it this way, you can get kind of like resistance and say like, okay. While if you perform a set or a rep and somebody tells you that was great, you cannot fix it in your head and then you are doing it next time. So this is the support I mean. It's not the support that you are writing your coach at midnight, that you are having cravings for a cake and you don't know what to do. For this, there are other types of coaches. The first red flag. They are only focusing on weight. And as it was said previously, it's not only the weight loss, muscle mass building coaches, but also the exercise coaching. If your coach is only looking at the weight, at the scale, it will not tell him or her the full picture, because scale will fluctuate from day to day, even from week to week, because we have different days. It doesn't matter if you are like me, eating the same food every day, but you have different level of stress every day. You feel better, you feel worse, your sleep is different, your performance. You have, for instance, heavy leg session, so next day the weight, the scale will go up probably because there will be more glycogen and water. So there is definitely not good if you have somebody who is focusing on one number and is not looking for a trend. Also, if you have somebody who will point out that why there is such a huge calorie intake on this day. It's happening. Maybe you have a birthday party, maybe you go to wedding. It can happen, of course, it's life. So people should not get focused on one number and look at the trend, because we are human beings. Life is happening. The scale went up today. I don't know why. I don't need to know why. We cut food. Problem, red flags number 2. Problems are solved by suffering. Your weight is stuck at the cardio. Move more. You are eating more at the cardio. Move more. It's the same mantra all the time. Whatever is happening, just add more reps, add more sets, add more exercise, eat less. Everything is done, so you also feel punished and you are not performing well, because you get just frustrated and it will not help anyone. I think good coach should scale up or scale down the intensity, volume, calories based on some feedback, for instance, weekly feedback, and not just continuing or adding suffering parts as a punishment. Another red flag, no explanation, just orders. If you are getting only spreadsheet, only numbers, only training exercise at the beginning or in the middle or in any phase without any explanation why the volume is now higher, why the volume is lower, why the calories are decreasing, and there is no explanation, just trust the process, that's very poor coaching. I don't believe that the people should be proactive. I think this is the part that it's still to be active in a way that you are paying to this coach for also giving you explanation, not just orders. You are not in the army where you just listen to the orders and you do the job. You are paying people for giving you the explanation. Why is this changing? Why is this happening? You should not beg for the answers. And if the coach gets defensive, it's about insecurity and it's nothing you can do with it, I guess, because it's nothing to do with you. This applies to both type of coaches, as I shared in my previous video. You have the coach that is scientifically driven, that only follow what is written in the article, what was approved or disapproved by science in any kind of trials. And then you have a coach that never even open a book, science book, never care about this, but just spend the whole life in a gym, was doing all these exercises, and he or she knows exactly what to do because this is best for them, so it must be best for everyone. And in both cases, sometimes it's very hard to get a real explanation. What is the behind the scene, because in one case it might be like, oh, but read this article. In other case it might be, it works for me, so again, trust the process. The next red flags, they can admit uncertainty. If you have a coach that says you will lose 10 kilos in 1 month, it's absolutely stupid idea to follow this, because he doesn't or she doesn't know you, how your body, you don't know how your body will respond and how everything will go, if you like the exercising, if you would be able to stick to diet. So don't go for these promises. This will work for everyone. Bodies are predictable. Hormones don't matter. Water weight is a myth. Red flag is also if someone is not specialized in something but sells that it is. For instance, if you are going for bodybuilding competition and you hire a coach that was doing lots of weight loss, but never been even to competition, never went through this process, it will not be probably very good coaching experience because that person never went through that process. So it can give you some advice, but at the end it's a guessing, and it's kind of like you can hire ChatGPT who will give you also the same advice, because I believe ChatGPT never went to bodybuilding competition. Just be careful with that. And on the other side, it's also what was said previously, if somebody went to the bodybuilding competition and looks gorgeous, it doesn't mean that they actually can coach, because maybe they were coached by somebody, they do have experience, they follow the whole process successfully, but they don't have enough knowledge to coach other people that have different bodies, different nutrition needs, different approaches. As I said, what works for one person, it does not work for other person. That's why there are all those diets, for instance. Try to find somebody who will match your goal, who has experience, who has, if it's weight loss, who has experience. You can probably read the reviews about clients losing weight slowly, not in 1 month transition, that from to slim. And if you want to go for competition, try to somebody who has some experience in competition. On the other side, there are also people who are claiming that they can give you the diet plan, but they have absolutely no background as a dietitian or in a nutrition, any kind of. That are red flags, and you are just losing money, because ChatGPT can create you diet plan, because he also doesn't have the nutrition or dietitian background, but at least can withdraw some information, while that person is also just guessing. And you don't want to pay for just guessing, I guess, no? As a summary, in these red flags, I think the most important is that you are looking for somebody who has knowledge and experience, who work with different types of people. So you can find this information maybe from reviews for searching different websites, who is giving you either some trial to start be with that trainer or coach, or have a monthly payment installment, so you are not paying lots of money at one point and then you are unhappy in 2 months. Somebody who will not just copy paste from week to week and do not ask for any feedback, anything about the variables like sleep, hunger, recovery. Somebody who will not change the plan from week to week just because it seems that, oh, I am really thinking about this and I am hardworking. So look, the plan is changing, so there is something going on. There are just few main points that you should definitely follow. And if you are in a stage that you are going to hire a coach, or you are thinking about hiring a coach, then this is the list of information you should seek for before. Ask these 7 questions. What does your weekly process look like? And they should talk about check-in, how they manage the plan, how they adjust the plan, what is important for them in those check-in, sleep, recovery, performance, reps, volumes. And if they don't mention anything like that, it's a no from the beginning. Second question, How do you decide when you need to change something in the plan? And here, listen carefully for a specific information, not some general blah blah. Something really specific. And if they cannot point it out because maybe they are just stressed and cannot answer, ask them about example. Can you tell me with your other client how you make a changes? Based on what? Third question, what do you need from me to be successful? And here the answer should be, I'm going to track your food intake or the calories, I'm going to look at your photos, progress photo, I'm going to communicate with you this way, I'm going to do this check-in, and so on, so on. How many clients do you have at the moment? This is not to get a number, like exact numbers or names. Of course, we are not asking that. But if you hear like, oh, I have hundreds of clients, then just switch off. Because nobody can follow with hundreds of clients. Then they just do the copy-paste job. If they say like, okay, I have 10 clients, then also start thinking like 10 clients, are 10 clients manageable for one person to follow all these check-ins, to make a plan, to make this as a living? Or it's kind of like side job that maybe I pay attention to 1 or 2 clients. Just make sure. And if they say like, I have 20 clients, then ask, are you the only one who is working, or do you have a team who is working behind you? Because that makes sense if you have other people that are involved in this check-in or in this programming. But if you have one person who is having hundreds or tens of clients, it's really not doing the job. It's doing copy-paste. Question number 6. Can you tell me exactly how your check-in looks like? And you are not asking for real client data, but if they just answer you one sentence like weekly check-in, I ask you, how are you doing, if you need any change? No. If they are doing this for a while, they have knowledge, they have experience, they should give you a nice long answer with all these points they are doing as a check-in. And I mentioned this check-in multiple times, but this is how you are tracking the real progress. So it is important part of every coaching. Question number 7, what happens if we both or I realize that this is not working? They should not be offended by this question and not say like, no money back guarantee, but they should just say, look, at my website it's stated that I'm not going to give you money back. It's one-time service payment, and that's how it is. But if they get just protective, it's something like, yeah, obviously it happens in the past with other people that were not happy and they were asking for money, so it triggers the response, the stress response that is there because of the previous experience. How to test coach without getting scammed? Do not commit to 6 or 12 months plan with one-time payment. 3 months is kind of like, okay, it can be working, but 1 month is, I guess, most ideal. Because in 1 week your weight fluctuates, you are not consistent, you do not have consistency with exercise, so you don't know like what to expect, how your body will adapt, adjust. So it's better definitely to wait at least a month to review and then decide if you are going to continue or not. But don't get scammed and don't get involvement in 6 or 12 months, even if you have such a big goal that I want to lose 50 kilos in 12 months. it doesn't matter that you need to stay with that person if it's just simply not working because you don't like the person, you don't like the coaching style, you don't like the working that they are providing. And this also what should be part of every coaching is that the coach itself should ask for the feedback. And after like every month, for instance, they should, or after every phase finish, they should ask, okay, is there anything that you don't like on my work that I should change? Is there anything that it's not aligned with your commitment to succeed at this goal, etc. So they should also, because if they don't ask feedback, and especially those that are just getting one-time pay and never ask for the feedback, is like, okay, whatever that person say, I have my money, so I don't need to change. No. There are also questions that coaches should ask. During the first interview, they should be really interested in you and to know what are your habits, what is your sport background, what is your nutrition background, if you are having weight loss journey up and down, or if you just gain weight and now you need to lose. They should have really interested in you, and you should feel that this is going to be personal, this is going to be approach that fits me, and it's not approach that it will be fitting for anyone. One small warning side is that once you have the interview with that coach and you are happy, you like that person, and you decided to work with them, within few hours or few minutes you receive your plan. If this is happening, you know that it was just copy paste, and they never ask any questions in between, they never need any clarification, because you are so good in writing this questionnaire that everything was absolutely clear and your plan just landed immediately in your mailbox. That you know that this plan has landed in thousands of other mailboxes. This is the end of the part 2. I hope my advice helped you, and these are just generic advice that I was thinking that might be important for you to, either when you have already a coach or you are thinking about hiring a coach. And in the next video, in part 3, I'm going to focus on the other side, on clients, and tell you, if you are a coach, what are the red flags in clients, how to maybe fix them. And if you are a client, maybe tell you that there is something that expectation might not match. Just stay tuned, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again.